Good morning, traders. This is another live small cap day trading video. The market has just opened less than a minute ago, and on my laptop I'm looking at this screener right here. So right now what you're seeing is my desktop, but I'm showing you the screener that I'm looking at on my laptop. It's just a methodology that I have evolved into, and it's how I like to trade. So right now I am looking at the screener on my laptop, refreshing it and seeing that SIGA and IEA need to be pulled up onto our chart page. So that's what we're going to do right now. So all of this is live. I'm not talking over a recap or anything like that. So let me just make sure I did unlock this. Yes, it was unlocked. Now I'm going to re-unlock it. Okay, so what we're going to do first is check the daily chart on a few of these ticker symbols that are popping up on the screener and meet our screener criteria. Alright, so obviously I have some lines up here from previous trades or trade attempts. I just left click on those and click delete on the keyboard. That's the fastest way to get rid of those. So this one meets our daily chart criteria. Let's check the other one, IEA. And that's just that it's trading above the 200 MA on the daily chart. So alright, both of those meet the daily chart criteria. So now I'm going to go down to a smaller time frame and just mark out some key levels that I need to see broken in order to consider even taking a trade on these. So here we go. Okay, so there's a couple things I noticed right off the bat. Obviously, SIGA had a huge move in the pre-market, so that means that it's a lot less likely to recover this energy. It definitely can. If it does, it's really strong, and that is a good signal, that there's a lot of buyers, and that's something that we should be interested in. But there's a lot of ground to cover, basically, to get up to here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to place an alert so that I don't have to kind of keep watching it so hard. Let's see here. Whoops, what am I doing? That's an order. There we go. Now we have an alert out, and we don't have to really worry about it. I have my phone right here, as well as I'm going to get an alert on the computer. So there's that, and then 1340 we need to put an alert. This one's a lot closer, but this is kind of not that enticing looking, just meaning that because of the way the price action has moved in this kind of horizontal pattern after just one huge kind of gap up, then it's a little bit less likely to, well, I should say it's a lot less likely to trigger a trade, but it still could, and if it does, then we have to take it. So let's mark out that level. All right, good. So on my laptop, I'm going to refresh the screener. There's nothing else on the screener, and I'll show you that right now. Oh, here's FAZE. Didn't show up on my laptop screener for some reason. Let me try refreshing it one more time. Yeah, now it's there. So at some point between the refresh, it popped up into the screener criteria, basically. So let's check out FAZE now. first it must meet the daily chart criteria. We don't care what's going on if it doesn't do that, and it does. It meets the daily chart criteria. So again, this thing gapped up big time in the pre-market. So this is very unlikely to trigger a trade, but we'll do the same thing. We'll put an alert out just in case it does get over that level. All right, so right now I think, yeah, let me just double check one more time the screener, and if there's nothing new, I'm going to mute for a moment, and we're just going to see what happens with these stocks and just keep our eye on the screener for any new ones that pop up. Yeah, nothing else is new. So that FAZE stock must be going in and out of the screener criteria because right now it's not showing up. Let's go back to the screener criteria over here. Yeah, it's not here at the moment, and if I refresh it, yeah, it's gone now. So not sure exactly what's going on there, but yeah, it's not on the screener at the moment. So we could take it off of our charts page. We still have that alert out there, but if it's not on the screener, we can't trade it. So SLI looks like it might fall into our criteria, but it doesn't have enough volume yet. We want to see at least 500,000 shares or more, and then we can take a look at it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave you with a screener for right now so you can see things change in just a few minutes. I'll come back as soon as something interesting happens. So, but in the meantime, I'm just going to let the video run. I'm going to place this I'll be back picture up, and as soon as I come back, I'll remove that. So that's how you can know if you scroll forward and you see this disappear, you know that means that I'm talking again, something is happening. But I just like to let the video roll all the way through my trading, which goes till 10 a.m. Eastern time, just so you could see that I'm showing you everything that I do, everything that happens, and that's it. So, all right, so for now, we're going to mute, and then we'll be back in just a little bit. Alright, just wanted to come back for a little update. I'm refreshing the screener right now. I've already done this on my laptop, but I'm doing it here just to show you what's going on, and we'll also look at the charts in just a moment. So here's the refresh screener. Again, it's really important to remember to refresh the screener, otherwise if any new stocks fall into your filters, they're not just going to automatically pop up. You have to refresh the screener by clicking those three little dots and click modify. And then I always organize the list by volume, so I've done that here. And there's nothing new because my volume threshold is 500,000 shares or more, so I can basically only look at these stocks right here. And you can see that everything is red except for SIGA and IEA. So that's what we're watching for now. Then we go to the charts page. There's SIGA. We need to get rid of FAZE because it no longer meets the screener criteria. And I think what we're going to have to do is just add IEA back, because you can't get rid of one of these. You know, if I highlight and say delete or something like that, it's not going to. What I could do is I could type in one of these other tickers if I wanted to. But generally what I do is just go down to like a 2-chart page or 1-chart page if I want to get rid of all of them, except for I have SPY up here just to watch the overall market, and then I can go back to the 4-chart page. Just have to re-enter in IEA. So you could see here that SIGA is looking quite strong. Well, at least it has the potential to be strong, and it's made up about half of that ground, maybe a little bit less, but it's still early, so we may see something there. And then IEA is kind of doing what I expected it to. If we kind of forget about this little ramp up here, a lot of times when we see these stocks with these kind of sideways price action through the pre-market, that's what they continue to do through the day. So I'm not surprised to see it doing that. The only reason it's even on the chart page is because it has this little ramp up. But anyway, so we have our alerts out. We don't have to worry too much about missing anything or anything like that. And on my laptop, I'm keeping an eye on the screener, so that's what we're going to do. I guess I'll leave the chart page up here for a little variety so you guys can see what happens to SIGA. And I'm going to mute for now, and I'll be back as soon as something changes or something interesting happens. So, all right, let's pause for now, or mute for now, I should say. All right, so nothing has changed on the screener. You can see that IEA is starting to show a little bit of strength, but we still have to wait and watch. But you might be asking, am I going to take a trade today? And the answer to that is I have no idea. But what I can tell you that is guaranteed 100%, and I think this is very unique to what you find on YouTube, YouTube trading channels, is that I am guaranteed to follow my plan today 100% every single day. In fact, that's a discipline that I've developed over many years of trading now, and especially by developing trading plans and trying to test them and track the statistics. So throughout that process, you start to find out, okay, if I do the exact same thing every day, if I do what my plan tells me to, I can find out the exact probabilities of, well, as exact as statistics can be, the exact probabilities of how often the trade that I am going to put on is going to work, and I can tell you that right now. I can tell you that from my data, these small cap entries, the very first entry that I take, you might find this extremely surprising and scratch your head, but this is the reality of trading. It's not what everyone else tries to make it out to be and say that, okay, this setup works 90% of the time if you take it, or this setup works 75% of the time if you take it. I've never, ever seen anyone else pull up a spreadsheet and actually show you the data. And I guess, in fact, since I just said that, I must pull up my spreadsheet. I think I can do it with even my calculator open. Let's see here. Otherwise, maybe I'll try to do it at the end, but let me pull up my spreadsheet before I open my big mouth here. Here we go. All right, so this is what we're tracking, our small cap trading now that we're trading full position size, but our test trading, that's where we were collecting all of this data. Yeah, see, this is the problem, is I have my calculator open, so it's going to keep popping up here. So anyway, but yeah, this was the small cap test, and we started back in mid-September, and we went all the way up until, I think it was June. Yeah, June 7th looks like our last trading day. And because of that, I can tell you that I know my first trade only works about 25% of the time. Actually, we're holding for 3R right now, so my first trade only works about 23% of the time. My second trade works about 40% of the time. And my third trade, there's not that much data. We only took 8 trades, so this number is not that meaningful. But it's going to be somewhere probably around that level of 35 to 40%. We'll know as we collect more data. So you might find that shocking that the probability of these trades working out is so extremely low. But I think that this is more realistic to what trading really is. You can force high win rates. You can develop a system where your win rate is 75%, 85%, maybe 90%. But what you're going to be doing in order to generate that high win rate is you're going to be taking on a ton of risk for each trade and getting a very small reward. And it just has to be that way, because trades with proper reward to risk ratio do not work out very often, do not result in a win very often. Like in our case, we are going for 3 times the reward. But the issue with having a lower reward and a high risk is that even though, yes, your win rate is increased, all it takes is one trade to wipe out 10 positive trades, one losing trade to wipe out 10 green trades, and you're going to be very psychologically affected by that. And I say that from experience. You're not going to be able to keep that up, because you could still have a string of trades. Even if you have a high win rate system, you can have a string of trades that are losing, and those losses are going to be huge relative to your wins, and that's very, very hard to deal with. And I just don't know anyone that successfully trades that way. I know a lot of people try to trade like that, especially in the beginning, but it just never works out in the long run. So anyway, what we're doing here is based off of statistics that I've collected myself. I just showed them to you, and I know exactly the probability of each trade working out that I enter. And sometimes it falls within that tested probability, and sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it's an anomaly. And either way, we are sticking to the plan, and we are collecting the data for the next 100 trades. And if something happens where all of a sudden in a 100 trade block this becomes unprofitable, there's my price alert, so we need to watch IEA. Then we start to look at, okay, maybe we need to change the trading plan. But as long as after the next 100 trades we're still profitable, then we're fine. So we just looks like we just hit the alert on IEA, and now we just have to watch to see what happens. There is only really 7 minutes left in my trading day, my trading window, in order to take a trade. So what this is a sign of the overall weakness, at least in the small cap market. It definitely, the whole market is weak right now. That's for sure. I don't think anyone will argue that, but we know for sure that the small cap market is weak because that's what we're watching every single day. And I'm just checking the screener one more time. So there is one other stock that's like on the verge of ending up on our chart page. So let's just take a look at that one right now. On the daily chart, that's what really matters to us. And you can see that one is trading below the 200 MA. So we have to reject that. So we'll go down to the 2 charts and then we'll add IEA back. Excuse me. Okay, just make sure I'm not muted. Okay, good. All right, so now what we have to do, we still have to keep an eye on the screener because one of my, this is all written in the trading plan, so it's very easy to follow. You don't have to try to feel your way through the markets each day. One of the things in my trading plan is that I don't focus on one single stock until it has gotten very close to triggering my trade. And how I know that is by the time I have a white line on the chart. So if this thing keeps moving up, if the price keeps increasing, you'll see me place this white line out on the chart and you'll get an idea of what it means. And that's when I decide, okay, this is the stock that I'm focusing on today, and either it triggers a trade and I take it, or it doesn't trigger a trade and I don't trade today. And it's as simple as that. So you have to have very hard and fast rules when you're day trading. Otherwise, your results are just going to be a mess. You're going to be a mess because you're going to be doing different things every single day, trying to feel your way through the market, trying to decide, what's strong and what isn't. And it's just not a good system to have because it's too personal and it's too emotional. It's too emotionally based. So when it goes wrong, you're going to be mad at yourself. And when you're trading a plan, if you follow that plan 100% of the time, you can't really be mad, because you've done everything exactly right. You've done what the trading plan says to do, and it's just today or maybe the market was or was not in your favor, and you really can't do anything about it one way or the other. So anyway, so we wanted it to break over that 1340, so it must have just hit 13. Yeah, it only hit 1340. It didn't even really get over it, so it's hitting some resistance there. So we'll see if it gets over it. And I'm just going to refresh the screener on my laptop while we're waiting. We've only got less than 5 minutes now, so we're almost done trading for today, which is great. Even though we haven't taken a trade, of course we would prefer to take a trade, especially a winning trade, or having taken 3 trades and at least one of those be a winner. That's part of my system, is that if I lose the first 2 trades, I could take up to another trade. And the hope is, again, based on statistics, that third trade works out. If you looked at the statistics earlier in the video, the third trade works out a lot more often than the first trade, even though there's not a lot of data there yet, but we're still tracking that. And anyway, yeah, so that's like kind of our fail-safe, is that third trade. If the first 2 trades fail, we take a third trade, and it will make up for both the losses, and we'll still end up profitable. But of course, another outcome that could happen is all 3 trades could fail. That can always happen, and that's when we stop. We stop after 3 trades that have failed, or our first trade that goes to our profit target of 3R, 3 times our risk. So I've got the screener refreshed, and nothing new is on the screener, so it looks like it's IEA or nothing at this point. And you might think like, wow, this is nuts, you're only spending a half an hour each day looking at the charts. Well, I think it's nuts to spend more than that. I did, while I was testing, I looked at the charts for an hour and took any trades that met my criteria within that first hour. But generally what I found to happen is that if the energy is not there during the first half hour, then there's not much there in the second half hour either. There were some trades that I took in the second half hour, but it was kind of the exception to the rule. So I decided, for my own sanity, is to just give myself the first half hour to look for day trades, because if there's real energy in the market, believe me, you will be triggered to take many trades during that first half hour. And if the market energy is weak, then nothing's going to happen in that first half hour, and what happens in that second half hour isn't going to be that different. So you're not really going to gain anything by hanging around for that second half hour. So that's something that I've decided to do fairly recently. During the testing, we were okay with sticking around for an hour because I was trying to collect data. I was trying to take as many trades that met my criteria as possible so that I could get to that 100 trades. But I think shortening our trading window to that first half hour of the day is going to increase the probability of our trades working out. We might be taking a few less trades per length of time, but the trades we will take should be better. And that's not something I can say with confidence until we've taken 100 trades, and that's what we're doing right now, is taking that next set of 100 trades, but with full position size. And the full position size is still relatively small because, again, we're just in the second phase now of trading this plan. We've done the testing phase, the forward testing with real money, trading one single share, and now we're doing full position size, but small position size. And we can see our IEA is starting to make a move here. But again, it's got to do something within the next couple of minutes, otherwise we're not going to be able to take a trade. Now, you may come back to IEA later. Anything can happen, really. Like, this thing could take off like crazy later, or it could just kind of fizzle out and then sell off. And one way or the other, you might argue that, wow, look, if you would have just waited a few more minutes, you could have had an awesome trade, a one-and-done trade maybe. Or maybe my criteria doesn't make any sense because this thing ended up doing nothing and it sold off. And all of that is fine. I mean, it's all speculation. What I can tell you is I've done this for 100 trades, for more than 100 trades, and the system ended up being profitable after those 100 trades. So that's really all I care about. I don't care like what happens day to day. Oh, and I just realized I didn't have my alarm set. That's something I have to get in the habit of doing, because now it's 10 a.m. We've not been triggered into a trade yet with IEA, and even though it's looking like there is maybe some strength here, it doesn't matter. It's past our cutoff period, so we just have to stop trading for now. And unfortunately for you guys, there was no trades today, so it's kind of boring in that sense. But again, I think the value that I bring to YouTube, which is very unique to other traders, as I'm showing you that, hey, I have a strict plan, I have a strict set of rules, and I stick to them. If the criteria to take a trade is not met, I just simply don't take a trade, and I don't worry about that. I'm not interested in just taking trades. I want to take the trades that I want to take, and that's it. So also, I think one thing that I wanted to point out with those statistics is that when we started taking trades with this trading plan, we were triggered a lot. So look at here from September 15th all the way through, looks like at least September 30th, so the first 2 weeks. And then I think there were some days here that I took off, and that's why there were no trades in those spots. But we're just constantly triggered to take trades every single day. So it definitely can happen. That's with the exact same criteria that I'm trading with right now. So none of that has changed. What has changed is the market and the market conditions. So I think the fact that our trading plan keeps us from taking trades during these really weak market conditions is a sign of the quality of the trading plan. It's keeping us out of weak markets. Is it always going to be able to do that? Not necessarily. There's going to be times where we'll be triggered into a trade during a weak market, and maybe it'll work, maybe it won't, but it is what it is. But anyway, so hopefully I've gotten the point across, and as always, I'll be back tomorrow morning, and we'll try to look for a trade then and see what happens. So anyway, go into every single trade with a plan. Stick to that plan no matter what. Always take your stop losses, honor your profit targets, and in the long run, you should be green. Take care.